What's going on, gang? Today I'm working on the Suzuki Ltz400. It's a little small project. I've already done most of the big work. I've already changed the clutch out and stuff, but today I'm only going to be changing the brakes out on it, the brake pads at least. So it'll be the same procedure for most sport quads. The Suzuki basically the same thing as a KFH 400 and a Articat KDV 400. So first step would be to get the wheels off the front. I've already got the lugs loose, and the back, you don't have to take anything off but the caliper. That should be pretty straightforward. So the brakes that the customer ordered, Caltric. Only thing I've ever ordered from these people is Stator, so I don't really know the quality of the brake pads, but I'm just here to install them. So all right, let's get going. For this particular model, to get the brake caliper off, it's a 6mm Allen. Got one here. You got one right here at the bottom. Get that loose. Yeah. Caliper just slides right out of there. I'll take it, twist it around, just sit it right there for the moment. Get the brake pads ready. To get that pad out, you have to come here with your 5mm. Remove those two nuts or screws. Pull it all the way out. Slide them out like so. Once you get those two bolts removed, the pad should come straight out of there. And from what I read online, there should be a plate here and there on this one, but there's not one. So we're just gonna throw it back in there. I got a little marine grease I'll throw on these studs before I put them back in, just to kind of keep them from sticking in there. Here's your new pads compared to your old ones. This one is worn unevenly, but that kind of happens sometimes. Both of them are worn uneven, but these are the new pads. Decent amount of thickness. So yeah, repeat the same process to get them back in there. Set them bad boys in there like that, so, and then get your screws lined up. One thing I forgot to mention, you need a C-clamp or some pliers or something to compress the piston back in. You have to press that in and get those pads on to where they're fit all the way around the rotor. Sometimes you can get away without pushing it in, but yeah, you need a C-clamp. So I got these greased up. I'll go ahead and start them in just a little bit. Get that, my brakes lined up on the other side. Got one going through, then I'll sit the other one in there, get it lined up and push it through. Once you get that done, you go ahead and put your caliper back up onto the rotor, get it lined up with your bolt holes over here. Get it started by hand, get it lined up. Once you get those back in, torque it down. I'm not sure what the factory specs are, but I normally just tighten them up. So that's about it for that. Now that that's back on and torqued down, next thing to do on this side is just throw the wheel back on. Wheel back on over here. It's a little tight. I gotta figure out how to bleed that brake off a little bit, but it's gonna be the same procedure for the right side. At the 5mm, no 6mm on the top and bottom here. I've already got those removed. And again, you got the 6 going in here holding your pads on. Use my drill so I can free my hands up. Like so. Pull that out. Not really. Put that pad over there. Just sit this here. And again, this side doesn't have it played in it either. I'm not really sure if that's supposed to be on every model, but from what I saw, it's supposed to have a little stopper right there. Get my C-clamp, push that caliper in. Another comparison to the brakes. These are the right sides compared to the new ones. Pretty good amount of meat difference. And again, same procedure. I put a little grease on the tips of these before I put them in. And then slide those pads on. And knock a little bit of that dirt out of there first. Alright. Get the caliper back in here, get it lined up. Get those hand tight. Then I'll come back and I'll just hit them with my impact. I don't like to mess around. Probably shouldn't be doing that, but got that back on. Now let's get the wheel and tire back on. I think I'm gonna end the video on this note. I'm having issues getting that back caliper off, and the customer actually told me don't worry about it, because we got 12 here, and I'm guessing that's a 10 millimeter there, which is worn out around the sides. These are supposed to be 12s, but they're worn out. But I can still walk you through the procedure. So here you got some tabs. You have to take a little flathead or something, knock the tabs down, and these two bolts here actually release your brake pads. So, you know, on the front you had the 16 Allen, but here these are release your brake pads. Your bolts here and here remove your caliper from the rotor. So you remove these two, which is supposed to be a 12 millimeter. Once you get that off, you'll pop these off, which are 12s. Pull your brake pads out, pop your brake pads back in, slide in these two bolts with your metal clip here. Don't forget that clip, it will come off when you take those bolts off. Get that back in there, like so. Also, you need your C-clamp as well. Once you get those pads removed, you have to take your C-clamp, push the cylinder back in, you know, to get it back preset. Once that's all said and done, put everything back on, you know. You get these two back lined up, slide those two 12s back in, grease these two before you put them in, if you choose to. That's just personal preference, you know. And you should be good to go, man. Like I said, you don't have to take the caliper off back here. It's a little easier than the front, but just a different setup. So, that's it, man. That's about it, man. Wrap this thing up. Brakes seem to be holding fine. I will have to replace this master cylinder here. I cannot get those bolts out, so I'm not able to fill it back up. The brakes are soft. They work, but they're super soft. I think I might hop on and take it for a spin, man. Let's see how these brakes holding up.